Hi there, welcome along to The Sweet Spot. It's Bruce Millington and Steve Palmer looking ahead to two fantastic tournaments this week. Really, really good stuff. Pretty much all the world's top golfers are out to play in two locations. We'll also look back on last week and we'll get Steve's best bets. We'll start with a review of two really interesting tournaments, Steve, last weekend. Dubai Desert Classic. But both of them were won in fairly authoritative fashion in the end, weren't they? Paul Casey got the job done there, and then over in America at Torrey Pines it was Patrick Reed. Pretty impressive by both. Casey, he's not always the most reliable, is he, when he's in contention, Steve? I kind of have him down as someone who can chuck in a really bad round, but there was really never any danger once he got a scent of victory in his nostrils, was there?
Very much so, John. I mean, that's his 15th European Tour victory, so clearly no mug. I mean, he hadn't played the track since 2014. He had a long journey from California, having played in the American Express the previous week. So there were reasons to be put off him. But, he won it in fine style in the end. It's pretty boring, wasn't it? I don't know if you watched the final round.
No, I was so bored. I didn't watch.
It was so obvious he was going to win from such a long way out. Robert McIntyre just didn't come to the party on the final round. Nobody really got close to Casey. Impressive victory, and he's got a good Augusta record. So I mean, he's put himself on the Masters radar. Then I think he could easily get an Augusta top 10.
What's up with your hair?
Oh, it had to be done. Yeah, I mean, it was a bit of lockdown.
You haven't been breaking lockdown rules, have you?
No. My daughter did this. It's I always get the sort of Marge Simpson style hair.
I do as well, as you can see. Yeah.
Just go straight up. So I thought I'd give my daughter a little bit of lockdown fun. I was all up for letting her do whatever she liked. I was quite happy. I said, give us the Britney Spears meltdown look if you want. I did not care. But then the wife came in to supervise and provide some order to proceedings. But yeah, short on top and the beard has gone. So
you pleased with the outcome?
Not really, no. I think a little bit like a Christmas pudding, didn't I, or a soldier or something. But
it's taken years off you, that's for sure.
Yeah. Well, I said to Grace, I do not care. Do what you like. I sort of past caring what I look like now. So
that is a bold decision, isn't it? To let a 5-year-old cut your hair, I must say. But
it is. But we need to start to take our minds off Tyrrell Hatton, because obviously we should have left our hat on. Last week we should have left Tyrrell Hatton. I thought he'd be fresh enough for that, but
great second round. He teased us there, didn't he?
Well, I got up at 4:00 in the morning on the Thursday morning to watch it. His second drive of the day, he sort of pushed his drive, and then he goes, "Oh, another tired swing." And I thought, he's got his bad attitude head on today. He convinced himself he was tired, and then it was a really lackluster 76. I was thinking, come on, mate, if anyone should be tired here, it's me. I got up at 4:00 in the morning to watch it. So I was really, really disappointing first round. As you say, bounced back with a 64, but couldn't get involved over the weekend. So I apologise for tipping Hatton. I was convinced he was fresh and focused.
You don't have to apologise. You did your best. That was the one you thought was going to win, but never mind. Over in America, I mean, Patrick Reed had started the year with blisters on his feet, and then all of a sudden he turned into blistering form, didn't he? That was an impressive win, albeit he didn't do a great deal to raise his popularity ratings, did he?
No,
Tell us all about his trials and tribulations.
Well, the swing changes with David Ledbetter, as he's had this new coach, David Ledbetter. The swing held up really well, but we have to address what happened on the 10th hole in round 3. It was such an ugly, unsavoury situation. I mean, the PGA Tour are defending Captain America to the hilt. They're refusing to let him take any criticism by himself, but it really did not look good.
Talk us through what happened for those who didn't see it.
His approach shot to the 10th hole. And as he's approaching the ball, about 10-15 yards away from the ball, he shouts at the lady volunteer there, "Did it bounce?" So why he's asking the question, "Did it bounce?" 10-15 yards away from the ball, I've no idea. Why he's assuming it's embedded when he's not even got anywhere near it, I've no idea. You have to bear in mind it did not rain that day. His ball is in a high point of the golf course there, sun beating down on it. I don't know why he assumed it was going to be embedded. And then from there, he asked that question, "Did it bounce?" to the lady volunteer. She says, "I did not see it bounce." I mean, the question that should have been asked of her is, "Did you see it land?" Reed should have asked, did you see it land? Because she clearly didn't see it land, because it did bounce. The video confirms it did bounce. So basically, what I didn't like about it was the way he was just cajoling everyone. He was the one in command, Patrick Reed. He cajoled the lady official how he liked. He shouted over to his playing partners. You've got to remember, this is Will Gordon and Robbie Shelton, two nervous, inexperienced maidens. He just token gestured to them. They didn't come over to look at the ball. No invitation from Reed for them to look at the ball. And then he just plucks the ball out of the ground with his back to the camera. He knows the camera's behind him, shields himself, plucks the ball out. An embedded ball doesn't come out easily. He plucks it out easily and starts fingering the ground. Did you not see it, Bruce?
No, I must admit I didn't. I've missed all this because I had people on Twitter saying, "What do you think of Patrick Reed?" I was like, I didn't see it, but that sounds appalling.
It's breathtaking. Normally you don't go anywhere near the ball. You call the rules official. He plucks it himself, gets his back in front of the camera, starts fingering the ground, and then says, "Oh, I better call the rules official." Rules official comes over. He's already cajoled the lady volunteer into saying what he wanted. He's already said to his playing partners, "I'm getting on with it," and then he does all his business with the ground. And then he calls the rules official over. It was really,
that's
really
unsavoury, that, isn't it?
Ugly scenes, yeah. And then the rules official comes over and he sees Reed's ball in a perfect position on the ground and said, "What are we talking about here?" He was confused, but then Reed really orchestrated the situation. And the video replays show that the ball bounced and hopped forward. So there's no way you can't get an embedded ball from a.
That's terrible. I think this is the trouble with this, Steve, is if this carried on like this, because of course golf prides itself on basically being self-regulating, doesn't it? But this is almost like kind of a footballer saying to a steward, that ball didn't cross the line, did it? And then maybe asking the opponents. I mean, you can't do it like that. But the trouble is, if people don't play the game and they take the piss, then we're going to end up with a situation where we're going to have a referee on every bag, aren't we? Which is going to, It's not really what we want, is it? But I suppose it might have the benefit of at least making sure they hurry the hell up. But
it's the richest tour in the world, isn't it? Why can't you have a referee of every match? And video evidence had to be called in at that point. If he asked the lady marshal, "Did you see the ball land?" and she says no, then they have to get the video evidence in to find out whether it bounced, because you can't have an embedded ball off a bounce. There's no way that ball can be embedded.
No. Well, if we take that away, though, it was a good win. It's hard to take that away, isn't it? But I mean, just in terms of the scoring, Reed's won with a fair bit in hand, hasn't he? And I think punters need to remember with Reed that I don't know whether it's because his brand isn't very good, his image isn't very good, but he always goes off a slightly bigger price than the likes of Schauffele and some of the others, doesn't he? He's probably a bit of value still sometimes, isn't he?
Well, now he's won by 5 shots. Everyone's saying, "Oh, it didn't matter." But golf's not like that. That's round 3, 10th hole. He's got up and down for par from that situation. If that lead diminishes, and things could have changed differently from there. But take that away. The swing looked good. He was impressive with this new swing, though. He wasn't sure whether the swing changes have moulded in, and the ad. And his short game is absolutely dynamite. There's few better than him with that. I've got no. I would have said the same regardless of who it is. Everyone's saying, "Oh, Patrick Reed, everyone hates him. He's got the history of controversy." The 2018 Masters, he won me absolute fortune. If anyone's going to defend Patrick Reed, it'd be me. I love it. I love him for what he did at the 2018 Masters. But his conduct was appalling, I thought. And and Xander Schauffele in his interview afterwards was basically saying, "There's just no way I wouldn't have called a referee before touching the ball." Most of the time you've got to treat the ball with a lot of respect. They don't get anywhere near it, do they? The rules of golf are so dangerous. But in this respect, he's just gone in there like and just starts messing around with the hole. It was astonishing scenes.
Very poor. Now then, at what point in the weekend did you pop up to the pylon? Because you sent me a picture. I think we might be able to see it, actually, if producer Dan can get it on screen. You took a little trip to the pylon, didn't you? It was pre-haircut. But when did you reach your nadir and decided you need to go to your favourite place to get a bit of spiritual uplift?
Well, astonishingly early in the tournaments, I couldn't believe what Tyrrell Hatton had produced in the first round. And then I went to the pylon to calm down. And then a few hours later, Harris English teed off. I mean, I'm so sorry about the way Hatton and English performed. It couldn't have gone any worse that first day. Bemusingly bad first round from Harris English took him out of the golf tournament. So, a bit of pylon action. I like it when there's a bit of light rain around the pylon. There's nothing like that. I mean, it's fizzing in light rain.
Wow.
Very healing properties of the pylon.
Oh, good. Well, all was not lost, Steve. I mean, I backed your selections last week, and I got a nice little place pick up from Will Zalatoris. So it wasn't the end of the world. But I mean, if it did anything, Steve, it did just reiterate the point we tried to make last week that, you generally follow, or not you, but one generally follows a good week with a bad week. So anyway, we go again this week. Let's look ahead now, and we'll focus on the Saudi International, which is a really, really star-studded field. Here are the prices. Dustin Johnson, 5-1. It's DJ versus Deschambault. He's about 8-1. Tyrrell Hatton, 12-1, looking to bounce back. The pantomime villain, Patrick Reed, is over in the golf. He's around about 14-1. It's 16-1. The never wins, but generally places Tony Finau. And 20-1 and upwards the rest, as we always say. Shop around, not just for best prices, but for best place terms. Steve, before we get your selections, tell us what kind of test this is for this really, really stellar field.
Yeah, Saudi International, Royal Green, 7,010 yards, so very short by modern standards, par 70.
Is it only the greens that are royal? What about the fairways?
I think the old shooting match is royal, but we've only had 2 previous editions of this tournament. Obviously, quite a controversial venue, and the course can be overwhelmed by big hitters. Long driving is a huge asset around here. Driver wedge is the modus operandi on a lot of these holes, and we've got some showers forecast for Friday, which should soften things up a little bit. I think we're going to get a really low scoring weekend.
How many tips?
I've got 5. I've got 5 in this and 3 in the other, so we've only got 8 in total. Okay,
let's have your headline selection for the Saudi International.
The headline selection is Dustin Johnson. I think Dustin Johnson is going to win this, the world number 1. His form figures on this track are 1-2. He's the course record holder. He carded a 61 on his way to a 19 under par total in 2019. As I discussed, driver wedge. There's no one better at that sort of golf. Wedge players become Dustin Johnson's strength. He'll have loads of wedges in his hand this week. Since his last visit to Saudi, he's won the Masters in record-breaking fashion. And his only previous start of 2021 was really encouraging for Johnson fans. He admitted he had loads of rust in his system. He really let his hair down after that Masters win. And he had a cold putter all week at Kapalua, still managed to finish 11th, made 24 birdies just by hitting it close, opened with a 71 at Kapalua, and then came charging up the field. So I think second time out this year, be more switched on. Unless he gets really unlucky with the draw over the first 2 days, I just can't see how DJ can fail to contend. I think 5-1 is a fair price. It's not, you're not going to get a massive price on that, but I think it's a fair price.
Okay, and there's 4 others. So you've got the 5-1 favourite and 4 others.
I know you wouldn't approve. But they're all at massive prices. So we've got each way money in the chase. You're going to get 5 places at least. Each way money's there. The next best is Lucas Herbert, who won the Dubai Desert Classic last year for his maiden title. He likes desert tracks. He's very powerful. He played Royal Greens for the first time last year, finished 27th. That was a week after that Dubai win, so he's entitled to feel a little jaded after that emotional breakthrough victory. He had a very, very long close season before teeing up at Abu Dhabi last month, tied for 25th, so a very solid return. Last week, 22nd. I think he's got the rust out of his system. Lucas Herbert, next best.
What sort of price? 66-1, okay.
66-1, and then we're going bigger. Rasmus Højgaard, number 3, brilliant Danish teenager, already won twice on the European Tour at the age of 19. He got a bad draw in Abu Dhabi, but he birdied the final hole to make the cut on the mark and then finished 25th. Last week, very similar, strong weekend to finish 9th in Dubai. Last year, he made his Royal Greens debut, still adjusting to desert golf and missed the cut. I think he goes much better this time. 70-1 Rasmus Højgaard, and then 2 more enormous prices. Ryan Fox, all of my selections, massive drivers. Fox used his power to finish 6th in 2019, 27th last year. Became a father over Christmas. Very, very rusty next time out in Abu Dhabi. Missed the cut by a shot. 41st in Dubai. I think that improvement continues on a course which really suits. And then finally, Dean
Sorry, what price is Fox?
Ryan Fox, 150-1 Ryan Fox.
Oh, wow.
And then the final one at 125-1 is Dean Burmester. Actually good mates with Ryan Fox, slugging partners, both use Srixon equipment, 2 of the most powerful drivers in the world. Burmester has become a great putter as well. Last season his putting was off the charts good. He was 5th in the Italian Open. He was 4th in the South African Open in December. In Abu Dhabi, again, another rusty one, 78 he opened up with in Abu Dhabi. First round of the year. His 5 rounds since then have been solid. He was 11th at Royal Greens last year. So yeah, big each way value in those other 4. Obviously a win stake on Dustin.
Steve, would you be looking to go after the extra places rather than necessarily the big prices on those 4 longer shots? Because I mean, it's, if you take it that Dustin's likely to fill one of the places, if you're only taking 5 top 5, you've only really got 4 other spots going for you, whereas other firms will be probably going right up to 8 places, won't they?
Yeah. Gobble up as many places as you can, but it's always a fine balance in that. If the price is much shorter, then maybe you do want to play 5 places at a bigger price. You've got to judge each case on its merits, as people like saying.
Absolutely. Okay, then let's move across to Phoenix. It's the quaintly sponsored Waste Management Phoenix Open, and another fantastic field. Here we go. Big Johnny Rahm 13-2. Justin Thomas is 8-1. Rory's 11, Xander Schauffele 11, 14-1 Webb Simpson. So there you go. Another excellent tournament. Really, really good fare this week, isn't it, Steve? Just a quick one, first of all. Normally, this is the best attended, rowdiest tournament of them all. I think now trying to get a bit of a crowd in, aren't they? That's the word. It's not going to be completely silent around that 16th, is it?
No, absolutely. I mean, normally we get 200,000 spectators a day on Friday and Saturday. They cram them in, 200,000. This year we're going to get 5,000. But that's still 5,000 more than we've been getting at most events. So there will be a little bit of atmosphere, but 5,000 socially distant spectators.
Okay, excellent. And you've got 3 selections. So let's get your number 1 fancy first.
3 selections. And last week we have to say it was a very dark week for golf, I think, given what happened in the Farmers Insurance Open, and our selections obviously let us down in the main. So this week, I think, is going to be the opposite. I see this as a shining light of a week. I'm really excited about this week. I think Dustin Johnson, is a gift in Saudi Arabia, and I think Jon Rahm is going to do the business in the Phoenix Open, and never before. I cannot remember ever before fancying the world number 1 and the world number 2 in the same week. For double fans, this is a big opportunity. 47-1, the double price. I've woken up this morning with a great deal of excitement in my veins. And Jon Rahm, we didn't fancy him last week, but I think the comments he made last week, I was focusing on a lot of his interviews last week, and I found them very encouraging. I think he's made rapid progress with these new clubs. It sounds like he has been on some really super intense closed season testing sessions with these new Callaway clubs. He was explaining last week that minor back tweak that took him out of the American Express may have been down to the sheer amount of work he's been doing lately, pounding balls on the range, getting these clubs grooved in. And the first time we saw him this year was in the Century Tournament of Champions, and he was brilliant around the greens, but his ball striking was disappointing. Last week in the Farmers, the ball striking improved a great deal, and he was rubbish around the greens. It was poor chipping and then some poor putting on Sunday, which cost him a more serious title challenge, and he finished 7th. So I see him putting it all together at Scottsdale, combining that Century short game form with the Farmers ball striking. And I think that the galleries that you mentioned, the smaller galleries, will help Rahm, because Rahm went to Arizona State University, right? There's usually a big fanfare around him at this event because he's an Arizona boy, an adopted Arizona boy. He gets the jersey on the 16th hole. You must have seen Rahm putting the jersey on the 16th hole. There's a lot of pressure that comes with that, and he's fallen just short in Phoenix. His form figures there are 5, 16, 11, 10, 9. So rock solid form figures, but winless. I think that, the pressure's off a little bit this year. Rahm lives in Scottsdale. This is a home game for him. He knows the course like the back of his hand. He was 7th in the Century, 7th in the Farmers. I think he finishes 1st in the Phoenix.
What was your favourite ever 16th hole memory?
Well, Tiger Woods hole in one. You're probably my greatest memory ever.
Really? I liked Gary Woodland with the young girl. That was brilliant, wasn't it? I'm not trying to make out you're callous because you didn't think of that, but that was brilliant, wasn't it? Check that out on YouTube, guys. Just look at Gary Woodland's 16th Phoenix Open. It's a beautiful video, and you will fall in love with Gary Woodland and the girl as well. It was beautifully done. It was really, really nice. Anyway, so while we're all uplifted, we've got a 47.5-1 double to look at. Who are your supplementary selections?
My supplementary selections. The next best is Matt Jones, who is another Scottsdale resident, obviously not as famous as Rahm, but talented enough. He's won 2 Australian Opens. He won the 2014 Houston Open on the PGA Tour. And all of those wins for Jones were real gutsy efforts. He's shown real bottle in him. He beat Matt Kuchar in a playoff for that Houston victory. He repelled Adam Scott and Jordan Spieth to win that first Aussie Open when Jordan Spieth was good. And then he beat Louis Oosthuizen by a shot to win the second Aussie Open. So Jones, when he's got his A game, has got plenty of guts to go with it. I've seen enough from him lately, 4th in the Bermuda Championship, 11th in the Sony Open, to suggest that he's playing well enough to contend this week. And obviously knows every blade of grass at Scottsdale. I think this could be the year he makes the knowledge count. I mean, he's 150-1, Matt Jones.
Thank you. And thirdly?
Third and final selection is Sepp Straka, Austrian youngster. I think he's good enough to win on the PGA Tour. He outscored everyone in the final round of the Farmers Insurance Open on Sunday. Magnificent 65 at Torrey Pines South. Gives him great confidence coming into this. He was 5th in the Houston Open in November. So, yeah, I think Straka can place again. Most of my eggs are in the Rahm basket, as you can probably tell. But I think Jones and Straka go well each way at big prices. He's also 150 to 1.
Wow. Okay. Thank you very much indeed, Steve. Just a quick word on the other three at the head of the market: Justin Thomas, Rory, and Xander Schauffele. Thomas has really gone off the rails. Can he bounce back here?
Well, very disappointed trip to Abu Dhabi, wasn't he? He missed the cut there. He's still dealing with a lot of difficult questions. He finished third in this last year. He didn't get out of second gear. So I think, Thomas is obviously respected, but I much prefer Rahm at the prices in preparation wise. Okay,
we're going to do a couple of listener questions before we recap the selections. Sean Carrington, thanks very much for sending him in, by the way. Sean Carrington, how can Adam Scott's putting be so bad? 3 of those putts on Saturday night were not even the quality of a 24 handicapper. Well, as a 24 handicapper, I can vouch for that. I saw one of them. He just sort of sent it off. If he was heading towards 12 o'clock, this went off at about 10:30. It was pitiful. I mean, has he ever thought of getting a proper grown-ups putter instead of that pathetic thing he still uses? It's embarrassing, isn't it?
Well, yeah, he often messes around. He's only just gone back to the long stick like that. He did play with a short stick for a while. He's just not a very good putter, is he? I mean, there's certain players I just cannot back. And Adam Scott is on that list purely because of his inability to get the ball in the hole now. Tony Finau's another one. I just don't back Adam Scott. I don't back Tony Finau. And, you just cannot trust him over those tiddlers.
Okay. Alex Curses, who would you take out the Farmers and put forward as an anti-post bet for the US Open? Because obviously they were played at the same course. That's what Alex is angling at. Did you see one maybe at a bigger price? You thought, blimey, this fella likes this track.
I think the aforementioned Will Zalatoris has to be massively on the US Open radar. I mean, he finished 6th in the US Open last year, 7th last week at Torrey Pines, and missed a couple of tiddlers. Talk about Adam Scott missing tiddlers. Zalatoris should have finished second on his own on Sunday. Missed a 2-foot putt and a 4-foot putt on Sunday. So, I think Zalatoris is improving and likes difficult challenges.
Okay, and finally, Paul Carroll, quite a simple one. How are you keeping, Steve? Isn't that nice of Paul to ask after you?
It's a delightful question, isn't it? Yeah. Well, I don't think any of us are keeping superbly, are we? I mean, these are testing times. Literally testing times. My wife is doing COVID tests every 5 minutes at the moment because there's loads of COVID at her work. And,
doing them or having them?
Doing them. Sorry, having them. She's been given some to do at home. She's doing regular testing. Testing times. So we've got to stay healthy physically, and we've got to then the tougher job is to stay healthy mentally, isn't it? As I'm sure you're aware. But this is the week where we're going to have a winning double, and we'll all be back on track mentally.
Well, we can't guarantee that, obviously, but we hope so. Have you had a COVID test yet, Steve?
Oh, I haven't had one. I
had one the other week, and it's not pleasant, but it wasn't as bad as everyone said. They said, up the nose isn't great, but it was all right. It was just a bit tickly, but we got through it, so that was good. But numbers are coming down. We're getting the jabs sorted out, so hopefully by the end of this month, things will look a bit better. But also, hopefully, more importantly, Steve, we've got a nice week of golf to take our minds off it. 2 great tournaments. And, best of luck with the double bid. Let's just reiterate the tips for anyone who didn't get them all. There's 5 in the Saudi International and there's 3 in the Phoenix Open. We'll start with the Saudi International.
Dustin Johnson, Lucas Herbert, Rasmus Højgaard, Ryan Fox, Dean Burmester.
And the 3 for Phoenix?
John Rahm, Matt Jones and Sepp Straka.
Silly question, because I know the answer. If you're only having one golf bet this week, Steve, what would it be?
It would be the Dustin Johnson and John Rahm each-way double. I mean, a lot of people would be tempted to just make that a win double, but the each-way return still be quite handy as well. So I think it's sensible to make that an each-way investment.
Excellent. Many thanks, Steve. What have we got on the show next week?
We've only got one Hastings stand, Pebble Beach Pro-Am. The European.
Well, when you say Hastings stand, I don't suppose they're going to suddenly magic up another one, are they?
I'd take nothing for granted in this world anymore, Bruce. You never know what's going to happen. But the European Tour struggling for tournaments at the moment in the next few weeks. That's for sure.
Okay, well, next week we'll have a good look back on what's happened this week, because it's obviously been, there will be a lot of very interesting, significant golf played. We'll look ahead to the Pebble Beach Pro-Am, and we'll do some more listener questions. So I'll put a tweet out next week. Thanks for all the questions that you submitted this week. We'll get through some of them next week as well. In the meantime, Steve, good luck. Hopefully you won't need to go to the pylon. Hope the hair grows back in some sort of orderly fashion. Actually, it's not too bad, that. I mean, considering a 5-year-old did it, it's not too bad, is it?
Yeah, I mean, but the beard's more of a thing. My wife is very harsh. She says she finds me so unattractive when I don't have a beard. Really ruthless. Just can't even look at me. She says, but
oh my goodness, that's drastic.
I need to get the beard back to keep my marriage on track.
Oh, she doesn't like you without a beard.
No, without a beard, she says I'm unattractive. Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
So I need to get the beard back. Yeah.
Okay. All right, then, mate. Good luck this week. As we always say, do please stake sensibly. Don't lose more money than you can afford, because that will make you feel rubbish. We don't want that. Thank you for joining us on The Sweet Spot. We are back next week for another show.